Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. We're going to have a really good time today. One of my favorite people in the entire world is here. And no, that's not you, Rochelle, but you're close. Rochelle is with us. Hi, how you doing? You're not frozen anymore. That's good.
Yes, I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And June Edward is our guest, and she is a relationship expert. She's a psychic medium. She's an author. She does lots of retreats, and she's got a really cool retreat coming up that we're going to talk about at one point. And but June, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me, Kevin. Good to see you again.
It is great to see you. I am always uplifted by our conversations.
They're always fun.
Yes, they are. And Rochelle was excited to meet you because she is newer to being around people who are psychic mediums and stuff, and so she wants to learn a little bit about you. As a matter of fact, Rochelle, I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask the very first question if you would like to.
Yay. I think it's going to be the same question I tend to ask a lot of our guests just because I'm so curious as to where it all started. But do you remember the moment where you decided this is what you wanted to do and what you wanted to nurture and become in your life?
I do, actually. I was doing a reading probably about a year and a half after my abilities opened up again. And it was New Year's Eve, and I was doing a reading at the Elks Club in Newport, Rhode Island. And it was my second year there, and I was just getting ready to leave. I was packing up because I'd been there all day. And there was this older woman and her daughter that had been sitting off to the side, and they're like, "Oh, you going home?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all set. I'm tired. Can you do one more? My mom's been waiting for a couple of hours." And her mom was in her 80s, and I'm like, "Sure, come on over." And I always asked, do they want a reading? Do they want mediumship? And she was insistent, and she wanted to talk to her son. So I'm like, okay, let's see if we can. I said, do you want to talk to your parents, your dad first? Because I think that's who's been standing next to you for the last couple of hours. So she's like, oh, okay. So I described him crazy, right? I'm like, he's in a full tuxedo with a top hat and a little tiny cane. She goes, yep, that's my dad. I'm like, okay. I said, and apparently he was very much in love with your mom because a woman just came over in a full ball dress and a crown on her head. She goes, yep, I've got that picture over my fireplace. I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. The long and short of it, because it's a long story, she thought she had caused her son to commit suicide. And when I finally brought him through, he let us know that it had been an accident and told me exactly what happened because it was pretty gory. And the daughter was there, and she's like, I knew it was an accident. I knew he didn't do it on purpose. You know, he had a new girlfriend. His TV was on. He was happy. And I was able to reconcile mom and her son, who's been on the other side for almost 45 years at that point. And I could see the anguish in this poor woman that she'd lived her whole life thinking she caused her son to commit suicide. And I asked her, I said, why didn't you go see someone like me, before? She goes, I've been going to mediums since he died for the last 45 years. You are the first person to ever bring him through. And that for me was the point that I said, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, says about me. If I could have changed this woman's life 45 years ago for her, can you imagine what a difference it would have made knowing that she did not cause her son to commit suicide? It was huge.
And that was 45 years ago.
Yeah, suffered. She suffered for 45 years.
So I got to ask you, because you have, first of all, you've written several books. One is The Other Side. The other one is A Making of a Medium. Um, and I, I'm curious to know, on the other side, 45 years ago, did he have the opportunity to stay there and then decide whether to come back, or?
I doubt that very much. It was probably his time, or, I doubt most people that have come back. There's not a lot. And of the ones that have come back, very few have said they were given a choice. They were either told, you can't stay, it's not your time, or they never had the opportunity to have a conversation.
So if we are, and I know that you believe this like I do, that we are eternal beings, what the hell else do we do over there?
Well, we do lots of stuff. I mean, for him, because his mom was stuck in grief, he was stuck in grief with her and could not really move on and enjoy the afterlife doing things that he wanted to do. Okay. That's what happens. And time is very different. It's about 3.5 to 4 of our years for a year over there. So 45 years here was like 10 years over there for him being stuck. But when we go over there, we live vicariously through the people here. So if you wanted to go fishing, you go find yourself a fishing boat, get next to the guy that's going to catch the big fish and, egg him on and as he's luring it in, or go get the best football team you want to go sit at.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun to go and sit on the sideline of, like, my team is the Seahawks, and it would be great fun to go sit on the sideline and cheer them on and listen to all the communications and all the things that they do. That would
Exactly.
be
It's amazing. The things that they tell me that they're doing on the other side is just incredible. They can also, time travel on the other side. I had a woman recently that I did a reading for her son and brought her through, and I'm like, she's telling me that she is going back in time, going to all the historical places back there, and she's upset because she said everything they taught us is a lie. And he goes, oh, that makes a lot of sense. She was a history teacher. I'm like, well, there you go.
So, like, if there's an event that you learned about in school or wherever, like for me, it was the Battle of the Little Bighorn, where Custer was killed. I could actually go back there and watch it as it's unfolding. Not that I'd want to see all those people die,
Exactly. Yeah.
but I could get the real scoop of what actually happened.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Pretty amazing.
Yes.
I mean, just energy. You can go and project yourself wherever you want to be. That's why whenever we say someone's name or think about them and they're on the other side, they show up immediately. They used to say, set an extra plate at the dinner table and they'll join you, and they absolutely will. Thanksgiving time, while you're enjoying that turkey and you're talking about your grandparents that have passed on, they're going to be right there and they're going to be saying, oh my God, remember how good that turkey tasted? Oh, look at that thing. It looks amazing. They enjoy it if you're enjoying it. That's how it works.
Now, I wanted to ask you too, if you experience something here, like I have a little thing I do about pumpkin pie. Because if you haven't ever really experienced pumpkin pie, it's hard to describe to somebody who's never had it. But if you have pumpkin pie while you're here and then you cross over, can you kind of conjure up pumpkin pie as what it tastes like and everything while you're over there too?
Well, you have all your memories. You have the memories of all your lifetimes when you go back. Because your soul is really big. So some of your soul is in your body, right? Some of it's over your body that people can see, and it's called an aura. And the majority of your soul is still on the other side, and it orchestrates the timing of events in this lifetime and has all the knowledge of all your lifetimes. So when you're on the other side, you still have all those memories. You have everything from the last life that you lived. You're still kind of connected to that very closely when you're on the other side.
Isn't that interesting? Rochelle, what do you think?
It's pretty fascinating, and I love to be able to resonate with it. Because the things that I've had come through and readings I've done for people, for you to let you know, June, I kind of stopped doing readings and things like that for people. I had a bad experience in a house, and it was just super heavy, and I think I absorbed it more than just read the energy of what it was.
Okay.
And
Were you
now that I've
protecting yourself before you do any readings or
no,
things like that? No, and
no,
that
I didn't have what I needed. I wasn't prepared, and it was kind of last minute. It was at one of my dad's friend's house, watching a football game, and it went the other way. So it was completely wrong on my end. But it freaked me out, so I stepped out of it, and now I've learned to protect myself more, and had things coming in. And Kevin, I talked to about it, but most people know because, they just people might think I'm crazy, so I don't say much, but I love to be able to hear what you're saying and grasp onto the idea of it due to my experiences. So kind
And
of gives
and
me something to look forward to.
and June, that's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that you're here, because we are just energy. But all of us emit energy. Some of it can be good, some of it can be bad. There are energy vampires out there. And you don't need to be a psychic medium to experience negative energy from
no.
someplace else. Can you give us some tips on how to
Sure.
protect yourself?
So anything that's a lower vibrational entity, first of all, like a ghost, okay, they vibrate at the same energetic frequency as a human being because they have not gone into the light, okay? Anything that is demonic is vibrating at a lower frequency than the human being. It gives you that pit in your stomach. It makes the hair stand on end and you just feel sick. That's that demonic low vibration. So you have a mix of demonic and just low vibration all over the place all the time. Okay. It's like an episode of The Walking Dead. They're just here. All right. A lot of them are looking for a body because they don't have a body. They haven't gone into the light for different reasons. Some are afraid, some don't want to, and some are demonic. So if they're looking for your body, everybody needs to be protecting themselves because they gather energy. Kind lights attract, energy gathers. If you've got a haunted house, I can tell you don't have one ghost in there. You probably have 20 or 30 because they find each other, they collect. Okay. The ways to protect yourself are this. First of all, everyone should be meditating to get in touch with their soul. But before you do that, you ask Archangel Michael to surround you with love and protection from any lower vibrational entities, attachments, harm. Before you do anything to open yourself up for a reading, anything like that, you always do that. I do that before I go to sleep at night, and I don't sleep in the dark because I happen to know what's in the dark. You will never see a dark room in my house. And I've gone down to the beach once in the dark, and what's down there at night is frightening. And I live right near the beach. I've gone there too early in the morning when it was dark and had one try to attach to me, even though I had a very high-powered flashlight, wouldn't leave me alone. You always have to protect yourself. The second thing you need to do is always wear some type of a talisman, some type of religious symbol. This is the Kundalini, which is a medical alert, is actually a religious symbol. And make sure it's blessed because it has more power to it. And when they're out there, because they gather in places like bars where there's live music, festivals, because it's fun for them. It's what they used to do. Okay. But then they're hunting around for somebody to attach to and go home with. If they see that you have a religious something on you, they're not going to want to bother with you because it's not worth the fight. They can go find somebody else that doesn't have one and may not fight them. Okay. So that's also very important. I also recommend people have every room in their house have some religious symbol that's recognizable, whether it's a Buddha, anything, a cross, just anything that's a religious symbol. Because when they're coming in off the streets, and they do that too, they'll see that. And again, they'll leave. They won't stay. Same thing in your car, because they can't move any faster than you and I. So they'll hop in your car at a red light or a stop sign to get to where the next one is so that they can get to where they're going. So I have a rosary actually hanging from my rearview mirror, so they're not going to hop in my car. I had a witch hop in my car once when I was first started this out. I had freaked me out in the middle of the expressway. I screamed and boom, there goes all my papers. I had to pull over to the side of the road. I picked her up from the house that I was at. She was part of that property. So protecting yourself is huge. And then, most people that have kind hearts and a good soul, you're an empath. What does that mean? It means you absorb other people's energy, good or bad. Okay. It's like walking into a very crowded room or a crowded mall and you start freaking out a little bit, So picture yourself as a lint remover. Okay. And all that energy is just lint and it just sticks to you. You've got to get that off every day. So what you need to do, and Epsom salts does not do it. You have to get sea salt. So negative energy is actually positively charged, and positive energy is negatively charged. Okay, the old science from high school. So get sea salt, and literally every night, before you take a shower or a bath, just rub it on your body. Okay, don't drop it into the water. You're just wasting it. Just rub it on yourself. You'll feel it immediately neutralize all that energy and get it right off of you. You'll feel 1,000 times better. And that way you're not carrying any of that stuff and you're starting a fresh new day every day. But it's the same thing before you go to do readings. And I'd hate to have you stop because I'm sure you're helping people, but you can't have fear. You have to meditate, connect with your soul, know that there's angels around you, that they're giving you the information, protect your space, call on Archangel Michael before you start anything. And the biggest thing is you cannot have fear. Demonic entities feed on fear. Okay? The more fear you have, the more power they have.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come back from this break, I had a really good friend that is a psychic medium, and she explained the process that she went through. I want to run that by you and see what you think.
Sure.
And so you're listening to Positive Talk. Brichelle is here. June Edward, the psychic medium and relationship coach and relationship expert. She's got a program that we are going to mention that is in 2025. That you can sign up for. It's a cruise, actually, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we come back. Again, you're listening to Positive Talk, and Brichelle, did that help you?
Yes, tons. I relate to so much of it, the darkness and the protection and the no fear. I dance in the dark if I'm for some reason in the dark because I know I'm protected when I have high vibration.
And put sea salt all over your body just for
fun.
We'll be right back.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. How is everybody today? That was an accent, kind of one, sort of, I don't know. In any event, June Edward is with us, and she is an acclaimed psychic medium and an author and all kinds of good stuff. And I wanted to ask you, because my friend Kim was a psychic medium, and I was with her when she did many readings on the radio and that kind of thing way back when in 2003. And she says, I have a special entity. His name is Samuel, and Samuel is on the other side, and he tells me it's like a phone booth. And if somebody wants to talk to me, they have to get his permission to get into the phone booth to talk to me. If they don't get his permission, then they can't talk to me. Does that make any sense?
So kind of. Anyone that does this work has what's called a gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper is the soul on the other side that will line up the souls as you want them to line up, will keep others at bay. You are always in charge, however. So, for instance, I'll give you a couple of examples. I had worked on a couple of murder cases and things, and I let them know on the other side. I let him know. My gatekeeper happens to be an Indian brave, and that you can show me everything, just don't show me any blood and gore. because I'm in control. I'm in charge. So they'll show me everything, just no blood and gore. I've also let them know that he can't send souls through to me unless I'm working, unless it's an emergency, because you can't be on all the time. You just can't. You'd go crazy. So it's like a light switch, turn on, turn off. So he knows unless I'm working, he cannot send souls to me unless it's an emergency. So I've only had 2 come through me and to me in emergency situations, and they were true emergencies. That was the big joke, that one was in my shower.
Oh, never mind. I was thinking of way too many things all at the same time that I probably shouldn't have been thinking anyway. So, but we each have a gatekeeper, don't we? And we have a team of. See, I feel like I have a team of guides on the other side that are orchestrating everything that's going on in my life.
So they're not necessarily orchestrating what's going on in your life. You made the plan. They are assisting you with any needs that you ask for on the other side. And I don't believe that everyone has a gatekeeper. I believe that only if you choose to do this type of work, you're assigned a gatekeeper. Everyone has a guardian angel. Everyone has angels around them. Everyone has guides, and your guides change based on your need. So, for instance, when I was writing my first book, I was writing my autobiography at the time, and I kept hearing, you need to write the book. You need to write the book. I'm like, I'm writing the book. They're like, no, you need to write another book. I'm like, what? I was teaching mediumship and psychic development at the time. And they're like, you need to write a book about what you're teaching. So your students have like a handbook, and that's the night on the other side. And I said, well, if you want me to do this, then you're going to have to send me the guide that is the highest guide there is to help me write this book and channel it, which they did. And I wrote that book and published it in 6 weeks.
Wow, that was fast.
Yeah, well, that's with their help, and they divinely helped me on all of my endeavors, on all of my books.
So Brachelle was telling me that she can walk into a grocery store and she can send somebody from like 7 miles away. There are ways to protect herself from doing that, because she's going to make herself crazy. If she continues to do that.
You're going to burn yourself out is what's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I've learned to protect myself quite a bit. More about just focusing inward than outward is really just the key thing. But it's usually in like emergency situations. If I walk into a store, I can usually sense what area there's something like some sort of heavy grief or something like that. And I think I connected that out to that a lot when I lost both of my grandmas. It was in a period of like 2 months, and they raised me. They were pretty much my mom's, my favorite people on this earth. And I think there's a big correlation of being able to, like you say, the light switch, on and off. My great grandma, she passed before I was born. Never met her, technically to say, but she's been around me all of my life, and she's not usually with me too much. More as I grow into understanding, she doesn't really need to be there. She knows that I can handle it. But there's still times lately where she steps in, and that usually happens if I'm out somewhere and my energy's a little too open. I can feel her. It's that another voice in your head. Everybody has accents.
Yeah, she may be your guardian angel, because your guardian angel is not an angel. It's actually a relative that steps up to the plate before you're born. And if nobody steps up, then they elect one. But it's usually someone who has been a relative in this past few lifetimes. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's your guardian angel. And you don't have to call on, her to act. So angels are a separate race. They can't help you if you don't ask. Your guardian angel can step in and help you at any time. You don't have to ask. So I would venture to say she's probably your guardian angel. But what I would recommend for you is to sit down and meditate and ask to see your gatekeeper, and make friends with and talk with your gatekeeper, so that you're on the same page and he can help.
That's where I was going with this, is how did you meet your gatekeeper and have that moment where you're like, okay, this is my person who's going to help me. Because I've become a whole different person. Like many times I've shed my skin, is how I like to kind of
It
experience
won't
it so other
stop.
people don't. Yeah,
It
yeah,
won't
it
stop.
doesn't stop. And these last few cycles are fast. It's like every few weeks.
It's gonna
But
keep going faster and faster because our timeline is shifting now. It's
oh,
gonna just,
well, that's
it's,
awesome. I'm
yeah.
ready for it, but I also am to a point to where I'm starting to meet new people, and I'm not friends with like any of the same people.
You won't,
And so
because
it'd be really nice to have that gatekeeper to kind of help me guide what's coming in and going out.
so what happens is this, because we're energetic beings, everyone in your life is on the same energetic frequency that you are. And as you raise your vibration and your energetic frequency gets higher, other people will drop off. They will drop off before you start bringing in new people on that energetic frequency. And that will keep happening. And that's the reason for it, because everything has to stay on that frequency. But don't be surprised if you are talking to your gatekeeper and they're not very, I don't want to say friendly, but my gatekeeper, the first time I ever saw him was, I was in meditation and I kept asking a question and I kept hearing no. And I didn't want to hear no. I didn't like the answer. And he literally was nose to nose with me and said no and yelled it in my face. That was the first time I ever saw him. And the second time I ever saw him was when the first large event I ever did. There was probably 200 people in the audience. And I sat there for a second and started to freeze. And I'm like, oh my God, what happens if I get up and nobody comes through? Or what happens if I get up and they're the wrong people coming through?
Fear.
And and I saw him and he said, I do my job. You do your job. We'll be fine. And I'm like, you're right. You've never let me down.
That's awesome.
But other than that, I mean, I very rarely, he's always right here. He's right over my right shoulder all the time. Especially when I'm doing any mediumship or when I'm meditating, anything like that. And when I ask him something, I will get an answer, but I don't always see him because he likes to stay behind me. So don't be surprised.
I have to ask you, because there's somebody in the audience going, wait a minute, they're here all the time? And it's like, do they do they follow you into the bathroom, and do they care?
No, they don't care, first of all. And the ones that are here all the time, you don't want them around you all the time. You do not want low vibrational spirits and entities around you because they suck off your energy. Bottom line. You don't want them. So this is why people sage their houses, to get rid of them.
I was going to ask you about sage.
Yeah, they don't like, so even if you're in a Catholic church and they do their little ritual, right? They've got some type of incense in this thing that they're going back and forth because they don't like it. So, if you don't use sage, you can use bay leaf, you can use olive wood. There's different things that you can use that they don't like, and it will clear them out. Okay. But they are everywhere for the most part. You don't want them in your home. You don't want them jumping in your gut, but they are everywhere. I mean, sometimes I have difficulty telling if they're human or if they're a ghost, if they're good enough to be in really solid form. I was at the grocery store one day shopping. I usually go after the gym, and I'm walking by the front door and I did a double take. I saw the guy at the door, but then I was like, is he a spirit or is he real? I had to do a double take. And when I did that, he caught me and he's like, you can see me. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not working. You need to talk to me. You can see me. And he got angry. He literally picked up a package of hot dog or hamburger buns off the display and threw it at me. Now, he had a lot of energy to make himself solid like that. And when he threw the hot dog buns, they literally only went about 3 feet. But the poor woman at the register saw it and started freaking out. She's like, did you see that? And I'm like, yep, kept walking. But they, some of them can manifest themselves because they're stuck here and they've learned how to, to get their energy together enough to be able to manifest.
Did you ever see the movie Ghost?
Yeah, very accurate. There's a lot of accuracies in that movie.
Well, especially the guy who was at the train station, and he was a ghost. And see, this is what would kill me. Is like he was looking at a package of cigarettes that was on the ground, and he goes, "Oh, what I wouldn't give for just one more drag!" And it's
Couldn't
like,
pick it up.
and he couldn't pick it up, and he couldn't. He had no lungs and whatever and stuff. That would be the most difficult thing, going to a bar and you love beer and you can't have one and stuff like that.
Well, they have to be able to really focus their energy. Even the ones that have gone into the light, when you think of the high vibration, we can't see the ones that are coming to visit from the light because they moved so fast. So fast. You'll see an orb zip through a room on a camera if you catch it, because they're moving so fast. So it takes them a lot of learning to be able to slow their energy down enough to even speak. So a lot of times I'm just getting symbols from them. And the ones that have learned to slow their energy down enough to speak still speak so fast, I just let them speak right through me because I can't repeat it fast enough.
Exactly. I've heard that symbols is how most of the time they communicate, because they don't have a voice box. And
well, no, it's just because they can't slow their energy down enough to speak. Some of them can, like I said, and when they can, they're still talking really, 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 really fast.
And by the way, we're talking with June Edward, and Michelle is here as well. And when we come back from this break, we have to take a station break, but we're going to talk about the Relationship Mastery and Mediumship cruise, which is coming up in March of 25. And we're going to talk about that and how you can get there and meet June and all of those great things. So we'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And June Edward is here. She's an acclaimed relationship expert and a psychic medium, and we've been talking about a lot of really cool concepts, and we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. But I wanted to make sure that we got this out there about your relationship mastery cruise that's coming up. What made you think of it? And it sounds like a great deal of fun.
Actually, my students have been hounding me for a couple of years to do some type of a reunion thing so they can all kind of meet, because they, other than on a Zoom thing, they had no one meets because they're all across the entire country. So, so it'll be a lot of fun. It's open to everyone, not just my students. I'll be doing 4 workshops. It's a 7-night Western Caribbean. So it's going to be Santo Domingo, St. Thomas, Puerto Plata, I think 1 or 2 more islands in there. And I'm going to be doing 4 workshops while we're there, 1 on destiny cards, 1 on mediumship, and on what else? On mediumship development, as well as doing a gallery where I can bring your loved ones through as well. And it'll be a lot of fun. It's a small enough group so that the people that attend, if you're in the workshops, you're going to get a lot of one-on-one with me as well.
It sounds like a great deal of fun. If somebody wants to do that, can they go to your website, which is juneedward.com, to get all the information and to sign up?
Yep, absolutely. And I would book as soon as possible because it's going out March 1st from Cape Canaveral, Florida. And There's a link that you can go on. The website will give you everything. There's a whole page for the event, and it will take you right to the booking. And I'm not sure what's left for rooms, but I know there are some rooms still left.
Very good. So get on your horse and to go to our website, which again is juneedward.com, and you can find out all about it and sign up for it. A 7-day cruise. If nothing else, the food on a cruise is remarkable. So so you can just go and have a good time, and it's a really good time and place to meet like-minded people. So that would be a lot of fun. So I got to ask you a question now. I went to a psychic fair, or it wasn't necessarily a psychic fair, but it was a alternative type fair, and it was at the end of the day. And I wanted to get either tarot cards or some other kind of cards, and I've pulled them for Rochelle before, and they really are. It's remarkable how accurate they are. Let me show you the deck that I have.
Oh, I have those. Those are the Oh, Kyle Gray's putting those out now, huh?
Okay. Yeah, Keepers of the Light.
Yeah,
and they're oracle cards.
Yeah, so there was Doreen Virtue used to put out the cards before, and she actually has put out the exact same cards, but she stopped putting them out. I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 years ago now. So it's good. I'm glad he's doing similar cards now. Yeah, that's great.
And so I went. They were closing up shop when I went there, and these cards. So I went to her, and most of the things were in crates. And I said, "Do you have any cards?" I really have no idea what kind of cards. And she said, "Well, look in the box and pick the one that talks to you." Exactly. Okay. and so I did, and I came home with these, and I mean, they were sitting there right on top. It was like, pick me, right on the top of the crate, and then she said they're $25, and she was putting away her credit card machine, and I said, well, I've got 15. And she said, I don't want to set my credit card machine up again. So here you go. You can have them for 15. I really think that these were given to me for a reason and on purpose, because every time I get into them, they say remarkable things. And the weird thing is, June, is they're always different. And they're always, depending upon who I'm talking to, and there's questions on their mind or whatever, they come through in an amazing way. Why is that?
So the more you do what you're doing, okay, the more you'll pick up on those messages without the props. They're props, okay? They're for you, and they're influencing what you choose because they want to give you a specific message, okay? It just makes it easier. Just like when Rochelle is reading cards, saying certain cards mean certain things to you, right? And that's because they're just trying to make it easier for you as you're learning. Realistically, you can just take out pocket change and read pocket change. Okay. But when you're starting out and you need help on getting those messages, then that's what the cards are for. It's for you to get the help from the other side and understand the message they're trying to give you. They are always accurate.
But what I don't understand is, how do they do that? Because they have their own magic. You're shuffling them, and you're going in, and then you pull 2 cards, and they're the cards that you were looking for that you didn't know you were looking for until you read them. But
it's better than that. I did a card reading the other day for somebody, and I always do 3 timelines just to make sure I'm reading it properly, past, present, future. And as I'm reading it, we just had a conversation, and the card that fell out of the deck was exactly what he said to me, word for word.
How do they do
that? Make this stuff up. They can do whatever they want.
I suppose.
They can do whatever they want. Magic happens every day all around us. People just have to open their eyes and pay attention. And you have to believe. If you don't want to believe, fine, stick your head under a pillow.
And the other one is because I've been in radio for a while and a long time, and I know how it works because you've got a on a radio station that plays music, you've got a deck that they've got the songs are all lined up and all lined up and all lined. And how is it possible that I can get in my car, I'm thinking about something, and I turn on the radio and the song that is
that's what the
playing.
law of attraction is all about, because thoughts are things. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. You're attracting it. That's how it works.
And so the message I have for people is don't poo-poo it, don't disregard it, take it as something that is possibly happening, and that this is the advice that they're giving you. Is that good advice?
Let me tell you, the stories that I could tell you would knock your socks off. They can go read some of them on my website, on my blog. Some of them are old, but let me tell you, the stuff, there's no way you can make some of this stuff up. You absolutely cannot make it up.
Except I don't wear socks. So, but that's a story for another time.
But once you learn how to work with energy, because the universe is energy, and you can attract whatever you want in your life, it can be like Christmas every single solitary day. It really is. Once you really start on this journey, it's just incredible. It really is.
It really is. I'm beginning to go into that, June, and
it's just amazing.
Like you said, the things that have happened to me, I can't really explain. And it all stays up here. And along this conversation, I've been thinking, because we've gone over all these different scenarios and types of things of how energy and people communicate with us and are with us everywhere we go. My grandma, one of them who had passed, my dad's mom, she's not come to me. And for a while I was kind of mad about it. Like, why aren't you coming back? Why aren't you coming to see me? Like, what's going on? And I felt like I was more likely to see her first, although my other grandma was very spiritually connected. I saw her this morning on my hike, just in heart rocks that were at my feet at a time where I had stopped right then and there and took a breath because I was dying. But what does that mean if you have somebody who you've lost and you're trying to bring them back to communicate with? Whether I do it a lot through my dreams, a lot of my manifesting happens there. So how could I help myself kind of come to terms with it? Or
so a couple questions. How long are you meditating for, and how often?
Lately, more. Even if it's just like in a moment. Like,
okay, so how many are you meditating every day?
Yes, there's moments.
How many times?
Multiple times. Lately it's been more like 3-4 times a day where I stop and just have a moment.
For how long?
Not very long. Only before I go to sleep is when I'm at the deepest point, and maybe 10 to 20 minutes usually until I fall asleep.
So that's part of the problem. Okay, you need to be meditating 3 times a day for 20 minutes, no more, no less. Because until you're really comfortable with what you're doing and feeling and connecting, it can take 18 to 19 minutes to connect to your soul. Okay.
Makes sense.
And again, your soul is not just what's in your body. Your soul is what's in the 5th dimension. If you're meditating for longer than the 20 minutes, you become ungrounded until you're really, really good at what you do. And becoming ungrounded, it's like you're walking around like an airhead.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got to, I could tell you stories, let me tell you, but you got to stay grounded. You really need to do it 3 times a day for 20 minutes. And you should be meditating in the same place, at least one of those. Okay. Because they'll be coming to wait for you. And you should always meditate first thing in the morning, because it sets the tone for the day. Okay. Right. That's the first thing. So she may come to you in a meditation. The other thing is, sometimes they're standoffish if they think you're angry with them, or they feel that they let you down. Those are the toughest souls to pull through. Okay. Could either of those things be the case with her?
I think so, mainly because part of my anger when she had passed, my grandma had passed before that. So when she passed, it was just kind of a double whammy for me. I'm an only child. and I've had 7 miscarriages in my life. And I remember thinking, what's the point in having kids anymore if I can't make my grandmas a great grandma? I'm the first and oldest one to do it, and the only that's between my mom and dad. Um, and I think there maybe some of my energy was absorbed through her in um, me, more of her understanding that it was a disappointment I had had with her because I wanted her here longer. Um,
Yeah.
so I could definitely reach out and send
Yeah.
forgiveness.
But they feel that and they know that. So even I have a hard time, and I sometimes I have to call a third spirit in to come and bring them through. Or they'll be very standoffish, and I'm in my living room and they're standing back in the kitchen, like hiding in a doorway, literally.
Yeah.
So when you start meditating more regularly, talk with her in your meditation, let her know that, you know, you love her, you forgive her. Please don't think I'm angry with you. I just would love to have you more in my life now. Even though you're on the other side, you can be more helpful to me. And she'll show up.
Okay.
She will. Yeah.
You know, June, I can't, honestly, I can't remember whether it was you or somebody else, but we were talking about my dad, who's passed, and also all the people that are involved with this show and helping to get the word out about it on the other side, and my guides and stuff. And I can't remember. I thought it was you that said, there's a room full of people here that would like to talk to you or acknowledge what you're doing, because what you're doing is important,
Right.
and your dad is extremely proud of you.
Yeah.
Was that you?
That was me. Yeah.
And that I just want you to know that really made my month, and made me feel like I am on the right path, and having people like you on the show and educating Rochelle and doing this is important work, and so I really appreciate that from you, and that led me to understand that this is what my mission is, and this is what I should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He does. He talks about that story all the time, even on the air. So thank you for giving him that experience.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Every time you talk about them, they show up. They'll always show up. I mean, your grandmother might be hiding off on the side a little bit, but she's still there.
Yeah, I feel the other one. She's here.
They always show
Don't talk about me.
They always show up when you talk about them or think about them. Always. So yes, Kevin, your dad's here too.
And you know what's interesting about that, because he was never was a very spiritual man, and he was very
He is now.
which brings up another great question that I gotta ask you when we come back from this really quick break, and the question is going to be, what is their process like, and do they really transform and to learn a lot, and when they learn all of those lessons and they learn who they really are, does that affect them and change everything about them? We'll be right back.
A lifetime of savings can disappear overnight. Millions of dollars are stolen every day from unsuspecting older adults by family members, caregivers, and trusted professionals. If you suspect financial exploitation, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or go online to the National Adult Protective Services Association to be connected with help in your area.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. June Edward is our guest. Go to her website, which is juneedward.com. You want to go on a cruise? Should you go on a cruise? I think you should. And so go there and sign up to go on the cruise. It takes off on March 1st of 25, and for 7 days and 7 nights you get to spend time with June and other people that are like-minded, and that would be, and you meditate and you learn the classes. It would be a lot of fun to do. So go to our website and figure that part out. But I wanted to ask you, because my dad was not a very spiritual man at all, and he is now. Is there a process that they go through, or do they just remember who they really are?
So there's a lot to that question. Okay.
Well, we got 15 minutes. So,
All right. So one of the things I'm going to plug is NODA, No One Dies Alone, which is a volunteer organization that I work with, and it's to go sit with someone who's dying. And I felt that was very important because a lot of times when you're dying, you're scared. And what happens is when your soul leaves your body and you see that light, a lot of times people don't go in it because they're afraid. And then their soul is stuck here as a ghost. Okay. So that's the first thing that happens. Your soul leaves your body. And then a lot of times they don't go into the light because they're like, what's going on here? And they stay with the body. So they might follow it to the funeral home. They're full of souls. So are the hospitals. They may stay in the hospital. But a lot of times they'll follow the body if they haven't gone into the light. So the ones that have gone into the light, no, they don't miraculously turn into someone else. They are the same person, the same soul as they were as a person here in the life they just left. Okay. So if they were a royal pain in the butt when they were here, they are a royal pain in the butt on the other side. Nothing has changed. Okay. What has changed is the fact that they can do whatever they want. They can go wherever they want. It takes them a long time to learn anything on the other side because time is not the same as it is here. So you learn, my book, All's Fair in Love and Karma, talks about the 5 lessons our soul has to learn in order to advance on the other side, because there are levels on the other side. Okay. And you go to the level that's with the souls that are of the same advancement as you. All right. So we come here to learn those lessons faster. And as you learn those lessons, your soul advances on the other side. If you get to the other side, you haven't learned those lessons, odds are you're not going to learn them there. You're going to try and reincarnate and try to learn them again when you come back. The things that they're learning on the other side are different. For instance, I had a younger sister that I was her legal guardian for about 30 years. She was mentally ill. And when she passed, she came through and thanked me for different things, but I didn't see a lot of her. I have an older sister that passed as well, who's a wonderful guide and mentor for me on the other side. In fact, she's going through the process to be an ascended master at some point. So I thought it was interesting that the older one was around, the younger one wasn't. So I find out from the younger one after about a year of our time, which would have been 3 or 4 months on the other side, that she had gone into counseling with the ascended masters on the other side because she didn't want to have to repeat the life that she had when she was here this last time. And she apologized to me because she had been horrible to me because she was jealous and angry that I was in charge of her health care and had some power over her that she didn't like. And she understood it and apologized to me. And since that time, she got that counseling. She is so happy on the other side now. It's amazing. She comes through to me. So they'll come through to me either the way they looked when they passed when dying, so people can recognize them, or the way they looked when they were having the best time of their life here. And she comes through to me all the time, glowing like an angel at about the age of 17. Really, really happy, really joyful. Finally enjoying, her life because she didn't enjoy it here. But she was also very close when she was young to my older sister, and the two of them on the other side is still fairly inseparable.
That's awesome.
So I got to ask you, years ago, shortly after my father passed, like maybe a year, my good friend Kim, who's a psychic medium, she said, your dad wants to tell you that the shoes he's playing golf with don't hurt. And I said, what? He's playing golf on the other side? And she said, well, yeah, and his shoes don't hurt. And I said, because he had all the cartilage in his feet had gone away. So when he walked, it hurt. And so now he has shoes that feel good and he doesn't hurt. So now he can play golf. So I guess what he was doing was he left here and he joined up with some of his buddies that are over there, and they were playing golf all the time.
That's what they do. And you don't feel any pain on the other side because you don't have the weight of this body with any afflictions. It's absolutely incredible on the other side. My my ex-father-in-law came to see me years ago when I first started, my abilities first started. And I was divorced from my husband. It was his dad. And I didn't know his uncle had died. And he's like, what's going on with you? What are you doing? You know, he always knew I had the ability, because as soon as his father died, he came to me that day and wanted me to try to heal his family. So I told him, and I'm like, don't tell your family, please. They'll think I'm crazy. And what's he doing? Tell his family, right? But I'm like, I didn't know your uncle died. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, he came through with your dad, and the two of them told me to tell you that they're fishing like crazy. He goes, yeah, he died a couple weeks ago. I'm like, well, I didn't know that. I don't keep in touch with your family, you know? But yeah, that's what they do. They'll find their buddy and go enjoy their life and have fun.
So this is what I got from that, is that he was playing golf and he was playing golf and he was playing golf, but there came a point in time when he wanted to learn more and wanted to be more. And that's why when you gave me the reading that said he was apologizing for how he treated me in life and some of the things that he did, it was because he'd evolved to a point where he could recognize his actions and what had happened. Is that right?
That's true. Some of them do, not all of them. And again, it has to do with how advanced your soul is. So for instance, I had a girl from high school that came to see me for a reading about 10 years ago, and she had been molested by her dad, and she wanted to bring him through. I think she was hoping for an apology. And I have never brought through such a vile man in my life. All he did was swear at me, tell me that it was her fault. It was her mother's fault. He had not evolved at all. And he was clearly a lower advanced, not an advanced soul at all. And he came through exactly like he still was in this lifetime, even though he had been dead for 20 years. So it really depends on how advanced your soul is and what it is you're trying to accomplish on the other side.
That's really cool. Brichelle, we've got about a minute and a half. Do you have any other questions that you'd like to ask her real quick?
No questions. I just think it's fascinating. I love how you brought up, a lot of people ask me, how do you see them? Well, I see them usually tell people it's when they were at the most peace in their life. You know, some people felt that when they were children, so I'm not saying it turns them back into a kid, but you'll see more of that younger and feel the lighter, the freedom, the fear isn't really there because it wasn't installed by that point. Or I'll see them at their last days and anywhere in between. It's wherever they're the happiest. For my grandma Georgie, or my grandma Jackie, that I feel often, it's just she's younger, but it's still her. And then some people, you know, I see them exactly as they were when they died, because that's when they were the most at peace and thankful and content in their life.
They want you to recognize.
Would you say that's a good way to describe it?
Yeah, but I think it's because they want you to recognize them. And a lot of times, like my mom died at 93, but she comes through all the time at the age of 18 on roller skates, because she was a messenger girl in Chicago at the time, and it was a great time for her. But if it wasn't my mom and I was trying to describe your mom on roller skates, you wouldn't know her. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's the reason a lot of them come through, because then they'll morph for me into different, they'll come through one way and then they'll morph immediately into something else. Yeah.
By the way, we've been talking with June Edward. Go to our website, which is juneedward.com. June, thank you so much for coming on the show. You're going to have to come back, because there's so many more aspects that I'd love to touch bases with you on, but I wanted you to have a moment to tell everybody in our audience what you'd like them to know.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, go to my website, juneedward.com. There are links to all of my books on there. There are services that you can get if you want to look at your past lives, if you want to talk to somebody for the holidays, if you want to bring a relative through. We have mediumship. I can do mediumship. I can do a reading if you're concerned what's going on in your life. Anything that I can do to help, I'm more than happy to.
And again, go to her website, which is juneedward.com. And Brichelle, I hope you learned a lot here. I did.
Yes, I did. And thank you so much. It was an honor to have you on the show, June. I can't wait to have you back again.
My pleasure. Thank you both.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we